mail at any Western Union location and also through the Walmart Money Services. If there's not a store or a payment kiosk to you, we are partnering with local community partners to allow customers to pay their bills for those that want to pay it in person and may not want to pay it through a credit card through the My Account app. And then lastly, just this is more of a breakdown for customers to know how different avenues, what they can do in different avenues within dictionary.com, the My Account app, or through the X1 box. So just letting them know there's a lot of self-service tools for them to be able to not have to call us and fix things on their own for the common issues. But as always, we're always happy to take any calls at the 1-800-COMCAST. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have about the franchise or our relationship or any concerns you might have about Comcast in the community.
Okay, got a question, Ms. Sutherland.
How much of Grayson County do you currently serve, and what areas are you serving?
Grayson County, it's the Independence. Let me pull up the map real quick. I know we cover Independence. I would say we probably cover the main corridors along the highways, but let me pull up the map, tell you exactly where we cover.
What are the main corridors that you cover?
Yes, 1 second, please. It looks like along Highway 58 in Independence, up Elk Creek Parkway out of Independence. Independence is our main focus in Grayson County. I don't see too much outside of there. Looks like we cover some in Riverside Drive. Guess it's County Route 660, Carsonville Road. We have some plant there, and along Scenic Road. Up is in Freeze. Yes. So it's a little sparse there, and as I said, we're happy to enter conversations to see where it might make sense to expand the plant.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Fant. What is it you need out of this franchise agreement? What's the purpose?
The purpose is just to renew. It expired. I believe y'all's expired not too long ago. It's just to update the agreement for current industry. What we see, and just to standardize our legal agreements among our operation. It's pretty standard language. I'm happy to discuss it. But the main purpose is to renew, have a new agreement that reflects the current industry as it stands.
Well, I guess I'm struggling with renewing the agreement, given that we really have no insight into what your plans are in Grayson County. You mentioned hotspots, but I'm not sure that you have any. You mentioned that you're here, but you're really not. You're in Independence. And so I just don't understand what it is you're hoping to achieve out of us if we don't have a plan of understanding what it is you all are going to do for us.
Understood. So we renew the agreement. If we don't renew the agreement and y'all decide to revoke the agreement, we have to pick up our plan and leave Grayson County. It's just to make sure we're lawfully conducting business in Grayson County.
Yeah, I got no problems with you being in Grayson County. I'd just like to know what you're going to do to improve. I mean, we're like every other rural area in America. You know, we're struggling with broadband, and we throw up a slide that talks about COVID-19 and all the great things you've done about it, but frankly, it hasn't helped us. And
Understood.
So here we are trying to solve this problem in rural America, and we're talking about a franchise agreement, but I don't see where we're going to get any benefit other than just helping you out by renewing it.
As far as how we can help Grayson County, I'm new to this role. I'm happy to sit down with you and see where your needs are and see what we can do to help. And we don't have any specific plans for Grayson County, to answer your question. but we're
Mr.
always
Chairman,
open.
Mr. Chairman, this is Tom. Has anyone looked at this agreement and compared it to our strategic plan to see if it's compatible or if there are issues between this agreement and any other strategies that we might have in place?
We've had Tom, we've had the lawyer look at it, but I don't think we've had a review like what you're talking about. I think that's a good point.
I personally think we should, not because I'm disappointed with Comcast, but because I think we should make sure that anything we sign is consistent with our overall strategy, because they may be able to help us in some regards if they knew more about our strategy. But I think we should have that before we take action on this agreement.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, Mr. France, you have anything else?
No, I agree with Tom, and based on that, I just recommend we table the franchise agreement until we get further staff analysis.
I might have one, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
When did Comcast first deploy any equipment in the county? How long ago has that been? And what kind of upgrades have occurred since the initial deployment or putting the equipment in our county?
I will have to get back to you on when we first deployed in Grayson County. As far as upgrades, we upgrade the plan to make sure we're providing the best speeds available. I believe we provide 150 megabits. We're providing 1 gig speeds in other markets, and I would have to see when our plans to upgrade the plan to provide the 1 gig speeds are. But I imagine we can discuss that as we extend the plan. We make sure when we extend a plan, we always want to make sure we're dropping the newest technology to be able to withstand future needs. But as far as specific dates, I'll get back to you on those.
Okay. And since the initial presence in our county, has it reached out any other areas? There've been upgrades to other areas to cover more coverage?
Since the initial agreement?
With the initial equipment, I know you got coverage here in Independence. Was any expansions when the last expansion was made by Comcast to reach any other areas or anything?
Usually our expansion plans coincide with customers calling in to request an expansion, or we see a development near our expansion and we go ahead and extend out for the smaller areas where we don't have as many boots on the ground to forecast development. I'm sure we've expanded since the initial, but again, I'll have to get back to you with specifics.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Yes, I have one question. The store, your Comcast store down in Galax at the time of COVID closed. There's you commented about people being able to take back their equipment and stuff, and I know that affects Grayson County people too, being able to take back their equipment and get more equipment and all. And that store, I think, still remains closed. You said take it to the closest store. Where is our closest store now? We had one closed, but now we don't.
I believe the closest Xfinity store to you guys would be Johnson City area in Tennessee, I believe, or Greenville even. But I wanted to highlight that you can go to a UPS store to return equipment. You don't have to go to an Xfinity store. And you can go to Western Union to make payments.
Will the Galax store after the pandemic's over, will the Galax store reopen? That's convenient to our area. Johnson City's not.
I understand. The plans is to reopen the store once the pandemic, I guess, improves. We don't have a specific date on that, as we don't know.
But it will be reopened.
That is the current plan, yes.
I think that's an important plan.
You got Comcast out there, do you? Okay. You're talking about the corridors. I think 89 south of Galax is probably a corridor, and 58 to Independence. I guess the question is, it stopped in Independence years ago and never went anywhere else. And that's one of the questions that's come up. So if you could get some of those plans together, maybe what kind of plans you have for the future, going past Independence and into the rural part of the county. And so I have a motion on the floor to table this resolution until we get some more information. Mr. Plant. And do I hear a second on the table?
Second.
I would think that would be Tom.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, aye. Okay, if you would give us some information on maybe some plans on, and then we'll meet again and go over this and have a little more discussion on it. We need a little more time to look it over.
Understood.
And I appreciate you coming out.
Appreciate y'all's time. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we over a little bit on the 6:30 public hearing, but I'd like a motion to open public hearing to receive comments regarding Amethyst Acres, say it right, LLC campground, Reverend Laura George. It's located 88 Oracle Way, Independence, Virginia, tax map 71A48C, to amend the 2016 special use permit by increasing 4 cabin sizes and adding an accessory structure. Ms. Black, can you enlighten us to this?
The Grayson County Planning Commission met on July 21st to review the request for Ms. George in regards to the Amethyst Acres campground. Upon review and discussion with the Planning Commission, they did recommend approval. Based on the revisions of the cabin, they were minimal and still conformed to the approved conditions of the amount of cabins that were approved during the amendment in 2016. At that particular meeting, we had one public comment, and that was from Ms. Mary Young. She lives at 1624 Battlefield Road in Independence. And Ms. Young commented, as an adjoining neighbor, her concerns were about all the other surrounding properties, including hers, and some of the surrounding areas were zoned as rural farms, and some of them was already in a conservation easement. And she stated, though, that the properties there would never change. Although Ms. George was a great neighbor, she was concerned about the density requirements of the property and suggested that the campground was very tight and that it should be considered a subdivision rather than rural farm. So those were her words. Prior to public hearing, I had a lady by the name of Ellen Cox, which is also a neighbor, and she was concerned that, I guess, she expressed disapproval of the cabin sizes and the construction. And I explained to her that the approval of the cabins was already done in 2016, and that the only thing she was doing was increasing the size of the 4 potential cabins and adding an accessory structure. And that accessory structure is basically a 24-24 garage. If you've had a chance to review it, I sent you a lot of information. But basically, what she's requesting is that she wishes to enlarge 4 of the cabins that was initially approved, and she's requesting to amend just the sizes. So 4 of the larger cabins will be converted 4 of the larger cabins would be converted to residential structures. 2 full-time people there, the rest of the bathhouse with the apartment above it, and the extra cabin would be considered as rental. So the planning commission asked that the term proffers be removed and added them as conditions. So in that, Ms. George presented to us on the very last page of your packet the conditions for what she has proposed. That's a lot of information. You can have any questions for me.
Any questions? Ms. Black? Okay.
So the sizes are changing. Mrs. George's cabin at Amethyst Acres will be 836 square feet. Ms. Martin's cabin will be 624 square feet. The covered porch for Amethyst Acres will be 624 square feet. The carport will be 576 square feet, and the bathhouse with the apartment above, 384 square feet. Basically, she's enlarged those 4 sizes, but reduced the rest of the cabins, the 6 cabins that was already approved. So technically, nothing's really changed other than just some of the 4 sizes of those cabins.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, Fant, got a question.
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Black, when this project started, I think, they wanted to do these kind of campsites, and then they added the cabins, and now it sounds like they're converting some of the cabins to permanent residence. Is there a point where if, in the future she wants to convert more of the cabins to residential, that this becomes, changes into something other than just a retreat location, becomes technically a community, for lack of a better word? And does that then affect anything on the zoning side? Does that make sense?
Yeah, basically, I guess what you're trying to say is we might have to consider it as a planned unit development. Considering that we have that many structures on one parcel. So the way that the zoning ordinance is, that planned unit development, you can have up to 10 structures on an acre. But we would have to go back and we would have to subdivide. We'd have to make a subdivision of that particular parcel.
So what's that? Do we know what that kind of trigger is when that goes from what it is now to possibly into a different sort of zoning? Do we?
I think it would be more than 10.
More than 10? Okay. So as long as under that number, it sounds like she's got some flexibility to continue to improve based on, conditions of her endeavor, right?
I do think so. At this point, though, with the topography being the way that it is, there's really not any way that she could possibly get anything larger in there. It's going to either have to stay primitive, camping, RVs, or just the little small cabins, which would be what she is determined to be primitive. No water, no electricity. I guess there would be electricity, but there would be no running water. So you would end up having to use the bathhouse.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Good. And the planning commission recommends?
Planning commission recommended. And I will repeat what they said, that planning commission recommended approval based on the revisions of the cabin sizes. They were minimal and still conforming to the approved conditions and the amount of cabins approved during the 2016 amendment.
Okay. Any other questions from Ms. Blythe? Ms. George, did you have anything that you wanted to?
Yeah, I'll just add that what happened was we got the approval in 2016 for 10 cabins, and that was before we did the site work and did the site analysis. And so when Stephen Dalton came out and we actually done the test pits, it became obvious he couldn't have 10 fully equipped cabins. So basically what we want to do is it only makes sense because of the lot and the topography to have 4 cabins. We're bumping them by 2 feet. I mean, this is so minimal. We're bumping them by 2 feet because it makes sense. We had agreed to a weird size. It was 20 by 25. Nobody builds in 25. So anyway, basically they're 24 by 26. And we're committing ourselves to not building any more than 4 now. So it's still 10 total. 4 are going to be just a little bit larger. The other 6 will have to stay rustic, as Data said. So it's such a minor change. And it is part of a campground. It's not a community. It's part of a campground. Even the one that Darcy's building is going to end up being a rental. So it's all in one area. I actually brought you a bigger map if you want to see it. It looks almost identical to the map in 2016.
Okay.
So that's all. Any questions about it?
Anybody any questions? Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll look. This one's going.
So tonight, based on your motion, we're going to be approving the forced cabins, larger, plus the site plan. We need to also include that site plan because the site plan did change to show where those cabins are located. And it can be found in your board pack.
Okay.
Can you see that, John?
Yeah, that's helpful. Not.
Can you all see it? It is in your package, John.
It's in the package, Ada. We're good. I'm good. I'm tracking.
It's in your package.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks for the effort, though.
You're welcome, John.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to come out of public hearing. Up, wait a minute.
We never took a motion to go into it.
Go into
Yes,
it.
I thought we did.
Yeah, you started there, but then you cut her, then you put her in, put Jada up.
But that's okay, because the
Yeah,
presentation.
she just did the presentation, now we can do public hearing.
Okay.
No problem.
I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we go and open the public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
And a second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
We are in public hearing.
Okay.
I will have 2 that signed up. Is it Pat? George?
I'm sorry, yeah, that's me, I signed in.
Okay, that's fine. And, Ms. Martin, or,
Yeah, that's me, that I'm the same,
okay,
I don't need to see it, but thank you for the opportunity.
okay, you're welcome. So we have no more signed up for public hearing. I'll look for a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I have Mike, you get that, Mitch?
Mike and John.
Okay. So we are now out of public hearing, so now I'll look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. It is approved. Thank you for coming. Okay, since, we did done public hearing, we'll move back up to Mr. Sheriff Richard Bond, for his presentation.
Trying to leave this mask on, don't fall too bad.
Mhm.
know the new laws go into effect on July the 1st. And this year, 15.2915E, the language was changed. It is to authorize localities to adopt an ordinance that prohibits the possession of firearms. This would hinder the rights of law-abiding citizens to be able to protect and defend themselves and their families. It would not stop a criminal from carrying a gun. The proposed resolution before you tonight, it echoes the Second Amendment sanctuary resolution that this board unanimously passed last December. Once again, we need to strongly state our position and communicate it to our officials in Richmond. Last year, 147 localities across the state passed the Second Amendment sanctuary resolution, and many of them have already passed this resolution this year. This resolution has nothing to do with the militia groups of the county. There have been militias in Grayson and surrounding counties for years. These groups are made up of mostly veterans who are concerned about the erosion of their constitutional rights on the state level. I do not manage a militia. I do manage 25 sworn members of the Grayson County Sheriff's Office. I've been asked by militia organizers for guidance, and I have spoken at their events. I feel like it would be better for me to be involved with these groups and know who the members are than to not know what is going on. I also maintain a list of concerned county citizens who have graciously offered their assistance should the need arise. I also recommended to our organizers that the groups require members to possess a valid concealed carry permit. This lets them know that they have been properly vetted. I do recommend that all of our citizens, that they arm themselves, be proficient with their firearms, and know how to protect themselves and their families. Grayson County is 450 square miles, and our citizens should not solely depend upon our deputies to protect them. In the outer-lying areas of the county, it can take 20 to 30 to 40 minutes to get there, and that would be too late. I recommend that all of our citizens have firearms. You know, some might say that we don't have a gun problem here in Grayson County, and we don't need this resolution. But I think that is because our law-abiding citizens are gun owners, and that makes my job a lot easier. I hope you'll consider passing this resolution tonight to show our unwavering support of protecting the constitutional rights of our citizens. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions.
Okay, we had you down as new business, so we'll just move that up a little bit. Is that okay? Sure. Okay, can you read the resolution number? Sure.
Can you hear me okay? The proposed resolution to prevent local gun control, whereas in acknowledgement of its deep commitment to the rights of all citizens of and visitors to Grayson County to keep and bear arms, Grayson County Board of Supervisors previously declared Grayson County to be a Second Amendment sanctuary. And whereas certain legislation has been passed in the Virginia General Assembly that allows localities to, by ordinance, ban otherwise lawfully possessed and transported firearms from certain public spaces, causing law-abiding citizens to be exposed to a patchwork of local ordinances as they travel throughout the Commonwealth. And whereas the Grayson County Board of Supervisors acknowledges the significant economic contribution made to our community by tourists and visitors and does not wish to discourage travel to Grayson County. And whereas Grayson County wishes to welcome all law-abiding citizens who wish to live in, visit, or otherwise participate in the economy of our community, including those citizens and visitors who choose to legally carry a firearm for personal protection. And whereas the Grayson County Board of Supervisors does not wish to infringe on the rights of the citizens of or visitors to Grayson County to keep and bear arms. And whereas the Grayson County Board of Supervisors wishes to express its continued opposition to any law that would unconstitutionally restrict the rights of the citizens of and visitors to Grayson County to keep and bear arms. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Grayson County, Virginia. The Grayson County Board of Supervisors hereby declares Grayson County, Virginia shall not exercise any authority granted to it by 15.2-915E of the Code of Virginia to regulate or prohibit the otherwise legal purchase, possession, or transfer of firearms or ammunition. If adopted, it would be this 13th day of August 2020 in the county of Grayson, Virginia.
Okay. Do we have any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is Fant.
Go ahead.
I think first, just a general comment. We must pay by the word or something because we are in love with whereas, henceforth, and therefore. And so I wish we could be a lot more clear in our resolutions. I mean, the bottom line with this resolution and what the sheriff just said is that the county's not going to exercise that option that's in the law because we don't need to do it. And I'm good with that. What I think we could do with this resolution, though, is make it stronger because it's a Grayson County resolution. It's not it's not going to work for some other locality. And by stating the fact that we don't need, we're not going to implement this optional clause that's in the law, by stating that using the information that the sheriff shares with us on a periodic basis about the different statistics in the county, I think it makes for a stronger case of why this law doesn't really make sense. The justification that's used in that resolution, a lot of it focuses on commerce and tourism. And I agree that an inconsistent application of this law across the state would have a negative impact on commerce because it makes it hard, as I think the sheriff said, for somebody that's going through the state to know what laws are what in different localities. And I get that. So I guess my recommendation would be two things. One, I would prefer that we make the resolution concise and say what we want to say, which is we're not going to do this. And this is why, based on the reality here on the ground in Grayson County. As the sheriff said, we don't have a gun issue in the county. We have a gun culture, and it's a very proud one. But then the second piece is that really that clause, I think, is problematic. And I would like to see in the future that we work with our General Assembly legislators to try to amend that law, because that clause in itself lends to confusion and also inconsistent application across the state. And that is what I think we could also do with a resolution. That's, to me, is a more powerful message, but I throw that out there for the board for discussion.
Okay, anybody else comments? Ms. Revels, you're still there, right?
I'm here, yes, sir.
Okay, I'll make the comment. I think, in my opinion, this resolution is strong enough that we're saying that, we're not playing gun control, and this is what this is GALAX could, Carroll County could stop a legal person having a concealed weapon from leaving Independence and going to GALAX. I mean, that's what this is about, is stopping is a gun control. And like Mr. Fant said, our culture is owning guns, carrying guns, being able to hit what we shoot at. So I think the resolution is not from the sheriff. It's not from anybody here in the county. It was from the Civil
Virginia Citizens Defense League draft.
So it's the same draft that's going to all the counties and cities and townships, correct? Okay. Any other comments?
Well, I think probably it speaks to, the point in these resolutions. We know that they're not legally binding in any way. They're just making a statement. And if we're speaking to our legislature and our state, then this makes the statement that we want to send to them. That we don't think this is a law that's applicable and can be justly carried out through the state. It does cause a lot of confusion. You go from one jurisdiction into another locality. Nobody knows who's doing what. I think it has to be a uniform consistency. So.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, this is Tom. I think the inconsistency is probably a result of legislatures who knew they couldn't pass a resolution that was uniform across the state without creating tremendous political and otherwise unrest among the citizens of the state. So while I understand what John is saying, I understand what Mike is saying, that the inconsistency can create problems. I don't see trying to push the legislature to come up with a consistent measure, because I think that works against us, not for us. So I support the resolution.
Is that a motion, Mr. Revels?
Yes, sir.
I have a motion to pass the resolution. Or a second?
Second.
Motion is
Brenda
second.
can have
All in
it.
favor? Okay. Brenda can have the second. Okay. It being a resolution, we have to call for a roll call. Ms. Sutherland?
Aye.
Ash?
Aye.
Mr. Fant?
Aye.
Ms. Revels?
Aye.
And I also aye. So resolution's passed.
Thank you.
Okay. If you don't mind, you said a little bit about the militia, and you said you don't have anything to do with it. A lot of people have asked about it and may be worried about it. Do you see any worries there?
No, I don't. I've had a couple of phone calls in the Carsonville area, because that's where they had a muster on the 4th of July. I was there. There were about 130 people there. Some of them exercising their rights to carry their firearms. Like I said, most of them were veterans, and they were just concerned about what went on during the General Assembly with the gun control, and then the governor, he tried to introduce a bill that would make it illegal to have a militia. And I think some of this is reaction from the bills that he tried to push through. So these are good, God-fearing people, the ones that I know, the ones that are members, have their weapons permits, but they've been vetted, they don't have criminal history, they don't have mental health issues. They're just good citizens who have want to help if the situation ever arises. And I'm thankful that we have these folks. I pray that we never need them, but it's comforting to know that we have people in the county that's willing to step up and help if needed.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. I have had some that were worried about it, and like I say, hopefully it never happens. You know, everybody watch television, you see what's going on in this world, and we're talking about our neighbors, our kinfolk, our Grayson County people. It's not people coming in from outside of Grayson County. It's our own people. And if I got in the bind, I'd be proud to have them at my back. So I hope everybody calms down and knows that this is really not a big deal. But anyway, that's I've said my piece.
We've had militias for years. We're just hearing more about them.
All right. Okay. Thank you for coming up, and appreciate you. We're back on reports. Sarah Osborne, chairperson of Grayson County Electoral Board. Just doing election update.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I don't think I can compete with the table guy. I appreciate your time and with the board, and I just wanted to give you a brief update about what's happening in the Department of Elections and the Office of the Registrar.
Hey, Ms. Osborne, could you pull the mic down a little bit, just so, yeah, thank you.
Hear me now, Mr. Vance?
Thank you. I got big ears, but
Much
I don't
better.
have to.
Much better.
Okay. First, I'd like to make you aware of a new Facebook page, Grayson County VA Election News. We are trying this as an avenue for communicating with the public about voter registration, upcoming elections, and to try to recruit new officers of elections. We've had some interest from new folks in serving as officers, but we're always in need of people who are willing to work polls. So please tell your friends and neighbors, send them our way. We also really appreciate Shayna from the Gazette getting the word out about what's going on in the registrar's office in the election. As most of you probably have heard, our registrar, Mr. Cody Wingett, has submitted his resignation. He has been battling pancreatic cancer, and we continue to hope that he will fight his way through it. We are so appreciative of his service, and very sad that his departure has to be under these circumstances. He has just been great to work with, and we've all just really worked well as a team, so we're very sad about that. But as a result, we, as an electoral board, our most recent priority has been finding somebody to fill the position. We have hired the assistant registrar, Wilma Halsey, to serve as acting registrar while we conduct interviews for a full-time replacement. We have interviewed several good candidates and should have a decision made by next week. We're expecting the new registrar to begin the week of September 1st. Our other big focus has been the implementation of the new no-excuse absentee voting or early voting. Qualified voters are now able to vote in person or by mail up to 45 days before the election. Coupled with the increase in mail-in ballot applications due to the pandemic and anticipated increase in voter participation, we predict a significant volume of voters prior to election day. Voter turnout in the 2016 presidential election was 72%, and we are preparing for up to 90% this time. As a result, the elections department will require additional staffing and equipment. Many localities have established satellite voting locations to handle the additional volume. As we communicated in a previous memo, Mr. Wingett suggested a satellite location, or alternatively, removing the voting equipment from the registrar's office space in order to accommodate early in-person voting without so much additional cost. After feedback from Mr. Smith, the voting equipment will be secured in the clerk of court vault, and the office will be set up with a scanner and an ABA machine for early in-person voting. We will also be purchasing hardware and software for an electronic poll book. Under the early voting guidelines, voter credit must be processed each day, and this is not possible with paper poll books. In the future, it's going to be necessary to purchase electronic poll book equipment for each precinct. Early in-person voting must be staffed by 2 officers of election, 1 from each party. Several of our gracious officers have agreed to work in this capacity. Our goal is to have enough officers that they can rotate days, so no 2 people are working the whole 45 days. The hours for in-person voting will be 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, beginning September the 18th. It will also be available for the 2 Saturdays prior to the election from 9 to 5. Obviously, our other big concern is the safety of our voters and officers of election during this pandemic. We have held 2 elections since March, and by implementing the guidelines that we included in your packet, each went smoothly and resulted in no community transmission of COVID. Prior to November 3rd, we will be receiving kits for each precinct from the state that will include face masks, gloves, antiseptic wipes, and large bottles of hand sanitizer. We will also receive additional disinfecting wipes, hand sanitizer, face shields, and gloves. During annual training for our officers, we will review all health and safety procedures, and we will encourage voters to follow all BDH and CDC guidelines as necessary at that time. We plan to employ additional officers of election to ensure that pandemic guidelines are followed and to ensure any increase in voter turnout is adequately staffed. On a final note, I believe in last month's packet you received a copy of a letter from the captain of the Elk Creek Rescue Squad. requesting the electoral board find a new location for the Elk Creek precinct, in addition to a copy of our response. I returned a phone call from Mr. Carpenter to discuss the matter in further detail, but has gotten no further communication from him. We received word the other day from the rescue squad's last meeting that Mr. Carpenter assured the members there would be no voting at the rescue squad building in Elk Creek. So I would like to suggest that the board remind the Elk Creek Rescue Squad that it will continue to be used as a voting precinct, or if the board has an alternative location, secure it as soon as possible. And thank you for your time, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Fant.
Sir,
Ms. Osborne, did you say there was equipment that the county is going to need to purchase sometime in the future?
Yes, I sure did.
Could you cover that again, and do you know the cost? And is it, I couldn't hear necessarily if you said it was mandated or it's just something that we need to do, and if so, do we have that cost and is it on our CIP?
Sure thing. So basically, we are not mandated to have electronic poll books. That's just an electronic version of the poll book that we use as a precinct. When you go vote, you know, the poll worker has to look up your name and verify you in that paper book at the poll. We began using, a lot of localities have begun using electronic poll books, which is just, you know, a little computer software basically in order to do that. And they've been doing that for several years now, but it's expensive. So we haven't gone that route, and we knew we had to get the scanner equipment first because that was mandated. This new early voting and the requirements that go along with that make using paper poll books for the in-person early voting impossible. There's just no way to take a poll book of all the voters in the county and go through it every single day and figure out who voted that day and update it. We need an electronic way to do that. So we need to go ahead and have that for this election. I have spoken with a company called Demtech. They were recommended by the folks who sold us the scanner equipment. And they're in the process of getting their newest software version licensed. And they will graciously let us use the old software version for this election at no cost. We just have to have some kind of hardware, like a laptop or an iPad or something like that to use it on. I do have a quote for all of the precincts. At some point, we're going to move to that. Everything is going to be completely electronic. And it's not going to be mandated. I think the guidelines are just going to get us to a place where it's going to be impossible for us to operate with paper anymore. And I do have a full quote for that I can get to each of you. I just received it this afternoon.
Is the company that you're working with that's talking about software, are they the same company that we bought the machines from?
No, this is a different company. The company that we bought the machine from does not do electronic poll books.
Okay, so and there's no interaction between the voting machine and this software, this piece. That's totally separate. This is purely administrative, sitting at the desk and checking.
Yes.
And every polling site will have that?
That's the idea in the future.
Okay.
Is this the only
Thanks,
company?
Mr. Chairman.
No, there are other companies. This was the one that was recommended to us by the company that sold the scanning equipment. And honestly, Cody was getting ready to take care of that when he got sick. And so it kind of just fallen by the wayside, but we knew we had to get something taken care of before November, actually by September 18th to be honest. That's when the early voting starts. So this was just that I talked to the registrar over in Gaylock and Carroll County also, and they use this particular company
got
This-
one question concerning the Elk Creek issue. Is there a public notice timeline if there is a change made in moving the precinct? Is there a public notice timeline where we'd have to have media announcements
Yes,
for the public?
not being moved, I think it's either 60 days or 90 days, after 60 days or 90 days before the election. I think I put that in that, response memo, and I can send that again if I need to.
So if we're looking at the 90 days, then we're probably into that window, right? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I got one more question.
Yes, sir.
What, Ms. Osborne, what do you need from the county at this time? You know, we're like, I think Ms. Trask just mentioned we're less than 90 days out or right at it anyway. What do you need in terms of resources or personnel that the county can help you with to make sure that this thing goes off as expected?
So we're going to have to hire, these additional officers of election to man the early voting. I believe we have 6 lined up at this time. We'd really like to get 2 more, and we are planning to, they'll be paid on an hourly basis. So we're gonna have a budgetary increase there. You know, there's just no way around that. And then we're also trying to have additional poll workers at each poll to handle volume. We have been struggling to find election officers for a while now. And we kind of have the perfect storm of conditions at this point, and we need all the help we can get. It's hard to find younger people who are willing to serve as election officers. So we can probably get you a better figure on what the increased staffing is going to be. And as I said, I just got the information from the electronic poll book company today. So we're going to have to figure out what kind of hardware we need and what that's going to cost. But it's, you know, it's basically like the cost of a laptop or an iPad or something like that. You know, whatever will work with our existing software. We'll talk to Carl about that.
Okay.
This might be directed toward Mr. Shepley. Since a lot of this, what you're going to have to do to meet the requirements of the election going off smoothly, could this possibly be covered under some, maybe the CARES Act money that, where it looks clearly it's a direct effect of the COVID?
Look into it for sure. Absolutely, we'll look into that.
Good.
So, yeah. Sarah, are you, bound by the state procurement act on purchasing? The reason I'm asking is, if you're purchasing something over $10,000, I just want you to know in your timing for things that, you'll be required to open it up and let others bid to provide that equipment to you. And that takes a little bit more time so that, we can help you with that. But just bear that in mind as you're thinking of timing on, in the future on when you need that equipment you've mentioned.
I don't believe so, but as I said, typically the registrar kind of handles that, and so we were trying to pick up the slack in the interim, and as I said, we expect to hire our new registrar and have them ready to go the first week in September, and that's kind of cutting it close because we have to have something up and working by September 18th. But our hope is that, you know, we can get all these things figured out.
We will certainly look into the CARES Act.
Okay.
To see if we can be of some help to you. So
Yeah.
if you just get in contact with me, we can, you know.
Great. Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Appreciate you coming out, and our best wishes, Mr. Cody Wingate. He's number 1 in my book, and hope he has a speedy recovery. He works with us very well in our role as supervisors.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, next, Mr. Chris Butler and Ms. Erin Cox, Grayson County Small Business Recovery CARES Act update.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and everyone, members. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Carl, are you putting in the mine up, or do you want to let me share the screen here? It looks like you're letting me share my screen. Sorry about that. Hold on one second, everyone, and I will be ready to do that. Somehow, I've lost it. Hold on one second.
Chris, while you're doing that, could I just say a couple things?
Please, Aaron, take it so that I can get my screen ready.
Okay. I just wanted to take
Thanks
a
for
moment.
bailing me out.
You're welcome. Anytime. I just wanted to take a moment and just thank Grayson County for allowing me this opportunity to serve in this capacity. It really was an honor to be the voice, I think, of this relief program, and people were truly grateful. I was thankful to have the opportunity, and I received many calls after, some checks went out of just how much of a difference it made for folks in their business. And, people, one guy called me at 9:00 at night and just said, "I am so sorry to call you so late, but I just got my check and I just had to call you and thank you." And I said, "Well, you're most welcome." And, it was just such an honor to be in this position. And, I really did the best work that I, could possibly do. It was so important. And, sometimes my phone would start ringing around 7:15 and stop ringing around 8 or so at night. And I enjoyed answering every question and helping every one of our small businesses. And, Chris has a lot of information about what those statistics look like and what those numbers look like. But just from sort of a personal aspect of being able to reach folks and help folks, it was just an honor. And we have amazing businesses in Grayson County, and I hope that we can continue to support them and help them grow. And at the end of this, what I said was, I want Grayson County to be a place that if your business is not in Grayson County, you want it to be, that you feel like you're missing out if your business isn't here. And I think as a county, we've started some really good work, and I think we can work towards that. So.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes, Aaron, we appreciate what you just said, and I wanted to let you know how much we appreciate all that you did for the county to make this happen. You were the person that was the interactive force between what we wanted to distribute and the individuals and making sure that everything was done properly. And we appreciate all the hard work you did. We appreciate Virginia Tech lending us, Virginia Tech Extension and 4-H lending you to us. And,
absolutely.
You did a fantastic job. We may have a little bit more for you. You're coming up, so we'll keep it going. And of course, Chris and everybody else on that recovery committee did a fantastic job too. But Aaron has a special role in that. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Shepley.
Sure.
Okay,
as you can see, I finally got this up on the screen, and yep, as you can see, I finally got that up on the screen, and I'm gonna echo Mr. Shepley's praise of Aaron, but I'm gonna do that at the end. I've got that under my summary there at the end. But we're here for a follow-up for what you approved last month, and the summary from the July 9th Board of Supervisors meeting. We went over 3 points there. Why was the CARES Act grant needed? And we talked a lot about the fact that some companies got the Paycheck Protection Program. A lot of companies didn't. And you're going to hear some numbers here at the end of this, which is extremely impressive for Grayson County and what we were able to do for companies that did not receive Paycheck Protection funds or could not receive them. We also talked about what we were recommending, and we recommended $300,000. We gave you a percentage of why that was a number that we recommended. And obviously you guys approved that, and we'll tell you here in a minute as to what part of that was spent and by how many companies within the county. And then the last thing we talked about was how did we plan to make this happen? And that's where I'm going to start on this. How did we get the word out, and how did people know about what it is that we were trying to do? You can see on the screen in front of you, we utilized Facebook, the ad in the upper left, on the upper left, we talked about, got it out to people through the Grayson County Small Business Recovery Committee page, and telling people that when it started and updating them as it went. This was viewed over 3,000 times on Facebook by people. So it was something that went out and was very successful. WCGX, The Cat, and Classic Country 98.1, they both gave us a tremendous deal to get ads onto the newspaper, onto the radio. I hope, hopefully a lot of you heard those ads. We had over 200 of those, and then we had 2 live spots that I did. And Aaron and I went down, and both of us recorded an ad for the radio, and then ran that again over 200 times. So if you look, the $3,000 that was spent and getting 200 ads for that was a tremendous discount by them for what we were looking for. The newspaper ran the ad, or ran the story that you see. They ran that later on based off of the meeting that we had. But I'll talk a little bit about that as well here in just a minute as to what that story has done for us. And then down in the left-hand corner, you see the people there. That represents word of mouth. And we've had a number of people just talking about this and saying, hey, I heard it on the radio, and then I talked to so-and-so, and I heard it, and I was able to tell them that they should be able to do it. One of the farmers in this in town called me and said, I appreciate the radio ads. I was driving around in the tractor, and after I heard you for the 5th time and I got tired of hearing you, I heard your one line that said, go to this place and see if you apply, and most will. And he said, and I thought, oh, what the heck? I'll check it out, and maybe I'll be able to get that. And he said, it was. He was able to get it, and we were able to get that out to a lot of farmers in this area who had been struggling throughout this pandemic. So that's the way we got the information out. Some of the statistics that we want to get out to everybody, the 102 Grayson County businesses were helped by this program. The areas on the right there made up the 102 businesses. You can see how it comprised from Elk Creek to Freeze and Galax, Independence, Mouth of Wilson, Troutdale, and White Top, making up the total of 102 businesses. 96 businesses requested the full $3,000. 1 business asked for $2,500. 3 businesses asked for $2,000, and then 2 businesses requested $1,500 each. That allocated us at $299,500. We still have $500 available to us at this moment. PPP versus non-PPP companies. So again, PPP would be the Paycheck Protection Program. It was the government-funded program that gave companies the ability to get 2.5 times of their salary, monthly salary. So let's say your monthly salary was $10,000. A company could take that and multiply that times 2.5 and look at getting $25,000 for payroll and expenses for their company. So that was the Paycheck Protection Program. We opened this program up 2 days early for any company that did not get PPP funds because we wanted to help as many businesses as possible and get them out there so that they were able to get money under the CARES Act in some way. Looking at the numbers on that, 76 out of the 102 companies were not companies that got no PPP funds. And so that's a tremendous number as we really look at this and break this down, that 76 companies within Grayson County would not have gotten any funds at all for this pandemic had it not been for this program. And I thought that when we counted that up, that was a fantastic number, because what that did was it helped small farms, it helped small companies, it helped these companies that were not able to get this money through the Paycheck Protection Program. And, you know, the board and the county made it easier for them and was able to get, again, 75% of the companies, or 76 out of 102. Very, very happy with that number. Approximately 60% of the applications came in via drop-off at the Gates Center. Comes back to Aaron Cox, and it comes back to Debbie Hash. If anyone stops in there when all of this is over, or you see Debbie somewhere, Debbie was not a person who was given to us by Virginia Tech and by the co-op. But boy, she was in there every day answering questions for people and copying and helping in every way possible. So we certainly need to recognize Debbie and thank Debbie for everything that she has done. Approximately 40% of the applications came in via email, and the email part or email box that Carl put together. Of the 102 applications processed, approximately 75% of those required some contact from with the individual, be it in person or via phone or via email. And that is where my compliment to Aaron Cox comes in, is that without her being able to step up and take part of this, there was no way that this program would have succeeded. She was not only the consummate professional, but had every answer that we needed. She looked at all of these applications. She got myself involved if there were questions. She got Lisa Gayhart involved if there were questions. Elizabeth Hash was over to talk with her and bounce some ideas off of things based off of what she saw through the Paycheck Protection Program. And I cannot say enough positive things about Aaron Cox and what she has not only means to this county, but what she meant to this program and what she was able to do in that role. And so we thank her very much for that and truly applaud the efforts that she put forward. Approximately 20 applications, and that number rose today, so we're probably looking at about 23 to 25 applications are sitting right now in Aaron's office in folders that cannot be fulfilled. I'm not asking the board for additional money tonight. I'm not asking the county for additional money tonight, but I would be derelict if I did not tell you that there's still a need out there. The one number that I wish I had in front of me and I do not have right now, but I can get back to you at any time, is of those 20, right now there's about 25 as of me coming here in front of or on the phone with you tonight. Out of those 25, how many did not get PPP funds? Because those are companies that didn't get any money through this. But as you look forward, and if there's any chance to extend it, we know that the need is still there. We also know that the newspaper article that you saw from earlier, that because of when that ran, that sparked a few more people calling and saying, hey, you know, I heard about this program and what can we do? So that number will continue to grow. I think we'll probably end up somewhere in the 35 range. That's a guess, but that's based off of what we're seeing so far in what we have. And those applications, we have continued to tell people to put them in. Again, not to pressure anybody to try to get more money, but I don't want to tell somebody not to and then have other people put them in and they fall behind should money become available. So people have called us and asked what they should do. We tell them that at the moment there is no more funding available. However, we would like them to put them in just in case anything does come available, or if there's a second round in any way to them. Summary for this, I've already given the praise that I said to Aaron, and that's where I was going to talk to that. So again, a personal thank you to her for everything that she has done. Thank you to the board for the support, to Grayson County administration for the support of small business. This truly has made a difference. For anybody who says $3,000, what did that do for somebody? I'm going to tell you that Eagle View Event Center put an application in and it was approved. Eagle View Event Center has had to postpone or cancel right now up to $25,000 worth of events that would have taken place during this pandemic. Just being able to have money available to us to pay the light bills, which don't go down, and to pay the mortgage, which doesn't go away, has been a huge asset. And I have had multiple calls and multiple people who have stopped us and said, thank you for everything that the county has done. It truly has set us apart and made it appear exactly what is true, and that is that Grayson County does support small business. That's what I've got for everybody tonight. I certainly am open to any questions that you have or that I can answer for you.
Anybody, any questions, comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mr.
Chairman, I do. Or go ahead, sorry, whoever.
Oh, that's okay. I was just gonna thank Chris profusely and for all that he did to make this happen. We appreciate your chairmanship of this committee, and this is the partnership between the county and the community is the kind of model that we want to practice across all different areas that we're looking for to improve the lives of the citizens of Grayson County. Also, Andy Anderson, Elizabeth Hash, Lisa Gayhart, Deb Jones, Carl Caudill, and myself. That was the committee, and we're still keeping them in the wings in case there's a second part of this. So I'll give you more information on that and the status of the rest of the CARES Act money in my county administrator's report. Thank you, Chris and Aaron.
It's Fran.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. First, Chris, great presentation, Aaron, great execution. And as you said, Bill, you'll give us an update, but if you use 40 as the planned potential need, that comes out to 120K. So when you get to your portion of the update on the CARES Act money, just include that to see if we have that money that we might be able to appropriate in order to address that potential need.
Be glad to, sure.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Last thing that, go ahead. The last thing that I'd like to say is, Aaron hit this earlier, and I will echo that there is a continued need to support small business in the county, whatever that looks like. And I know there's an economic development authority, and we need to keep pushing through that. But there is everything from how do I start a small business to, hey, I'm struggling, how do we make this work, to whatever the question is. And we have the ability to do these Zoom meetings and teach people. We have the ability to do so much that in some way, in some fashion, it has to continue. So.
Okay, appreciate that, Mr. Dudley, and everyone for their help. Is a group thing, and it's worked good, and it can continue to work and to help Grayson County business. So thank you all so much.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Next on the agenda is a new business is transfer of funds from CARES Fund to the EDA Fund.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It's really a technical thing here. The county, in the provision of the money for the small business recovery applicants, can't be given directly by the county to individual citizens. It can be given to them through the EDA. So what we did was pull the EDA together, explain the situation. They voted affirmatively to have the money transferred from the county to the EDA and then distributed from the EDA out to the citizens. That's basically what that component is. And that's been done.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, moving on. Fund designations.
We have to have a motion to say.
Oh, we did? I thought we said done.
It's been done. It's been done, but we have to
ratify
the EDA's action.
Go ahead.
Got a motion there, second.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Okay. All right, next, fund designations and transfer requests, Wood Trade and Technical Center.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what we want to do is to make sure that the major projects that we have, that we're working on, and that there's some sort of a tax line for, that we've introduced in the county, and we're able to separate out the expenses and revenues related to a particular project. So one of the things we're doing right now is this action will set up a dedicated account line for the sole purpose of capturing expenses and revenues related to the Daywood Tech Center. We're just informing you that we're doing that, and we'll be doing that. We're doing that with broadband, and there'll be additional projects that may come up in the future that we want to make sure we can pull out anything that's being spent in a particular area.
Okay. Then there'd be a motion? No. Okay. Done. Okay, next will be, any comments on that? Questions? Next will be the Sheriff's Office vehicle surplus.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Sheriff's Office would like to surplus a 2010 Dodge Charger. It's a retired patrol unit with approximately 155,000 miles, two-wheel drive, six-cylinder, and running condition. The VIN number is 2B3AA4 TBX AH2 15674.
Okay, is that all we have on that, Roger?
Yeah.
Look for motion to surplus.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Okay, surplus. Next is another resolution supporting SRO grant program and fund.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the state has asked us to bring this resolution to each of our boards in order to make sure that there is a unanimity in the state and the Commonwealth on continuing with the SRO system the way it's set up right now, which is backed 100% by the Senate and House of Virginia, as you'll hear in this resolution.
Okay. Good.
Resolution supporting SRO grant program and fund. Whereas the Virginia School Resource Officer SRO grants program and fund was established by the General Assembly in 1999 as a special non-reverting fund within the state treasury to employ uniformed school resource officers, and whereas the enabling legislation which created the SRO grants program and fund passed the Senate of Virginia 39-0 and the Virginia House of Delegates 89-0, and whereas the program funds school resource officer and school security officer position salaries in elementary, middle, and high schools with a local match based on composite index, and whereas SROs have served a vital role in keeping our students, faculty, and staff safe while developing positive relationships between students, law enforcement, and the broader community in Grayson County since 1999, and whereas Grayson County has received $345,000 in crucial funding from the School Resource Officer Grants Program and Fund to support 3 positions in our schools, and whereas the absence of state funding will greatly reduce or eliminate our ability to post SROs in our schools, and whereas Governor Ralph Northam stated on June 13, 2019, that it is paramount that we continue to make smart investments to keep Virginia schools safe and to create supportive learning environments for our students. The school resource officers and school security officers hired through these grants not only make our schools safer, but also enhance our communities by building strong, positive relationships with students, faculty, and parents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Grayson County Board of Supervisors does hereby request that Governor Ralph Northam, in conjunction with the Senate of Virginia and Virginia House of Delegates, maintain the existence of the School Resource Officer Grant Program and fund with adequate funding therein. Adopted this 13th day of August 2020 in the county of Virginia, we decide to adopt.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Ms. Sullivan's motion and Mr. Pandy's second.
That'll work.
I think it's, okay. Roll call vote it in.
Now we're voting on keeping school resource officers.
Correct. Of the grants.
Chris Bond, first book.
Okay. Ms. Sullivan.
Aye.
Mr. Hatch.
Aye.
Mr. Fan. Ms. Reynolds. And I also aye. So the resolution is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now we'll go to county administrator's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank those citizens that have called us and written to us about the small business grants that have been provided to them. We appreciate their appreciation, and we're glad to be able to do something for them, and we hope we can do more in the future. When it comes to the COVID-19 virus, we're doing well compared to the surrounding counties around us, but that's not really enough yet. We are sitting right along the edge of being in the kind of the red zone and being in the green zone. So we kind of fluctuate back and forth. We're fairly stable on the number of cases that we have, active cases, but we need to not loosen up any of the measures that we're taking to try to keep the coronavirus under control. So please continue to do all the things that you've done, and the primary areas where there's problems is large gatherings of people. That's where the biggest problem occurs, is in large gatherings of people with people not wearing masks. So continue to be vigilant. The State Health Department of Virginia asked us to announce that they had created a COVID-wise app. And I've just got a little bit of information on it. If anyone has more on the board, then I appreciate you chiming in. But the information I have is that if you register for the app, they're going to register anyone that tests positive on the app. And if you register for the app, then the app will indicate to you that you're close to someone who actually has a coronavirus or has had it. That's about as much information as I have at this moment. Does anybody on the board want to have any additional information on that?
No.
Okay. We still need all the help we can get on the census. Our reporting is bad. It gets worse as you go to the east in Grayson County. The eastern part of our county is well below 50% of the people that turned it in. So we could use all the help we can get, particularly in the freeze area. We need a lot more people to fill out their surveys. Right now it's at about 37, 38%. And the state average is about 57, 58%. So any help you can give across the county, that's how we get a lot of the money that we get is through that census. So please help us out. I wanted to give you a heads up on the CARES Act. The CARES Act, working very closely with Lisa Gayhart, who I've told you all before has just done a fantastic job on leading the effort for us to be able to analyze what's eligible and what's not eligible for us to use CARES Act money for. It's a science. And she's been using Deb Jones, who's on contract with us, who's also done an unbelievable job. What we decided when we first started this and when we received the first amount of money is there would be 5 segments to turning the money out to the various areas that would be eligible. Our top priority was to get money to the small businesses, which we've done. At the same time, we were very interested in making sure we got hazard pay to those at the greatest risk. We're now in stage 3 of round 1. And stage 3 is to get money to the food banks. And so we're interacting with the food banks. We're coming up with an application that will enable food banks to apply to receive money to help them to provide food to the citizens of our county. So That's going to be the third piece of this. The fourth piece is fire and rescue. What can we do to offset some of all the losses that have occurred by the cancellation of events? And they usually fund fire and rescue and things that we can do for fire and rescue that are eligible under the CARES Act will be focused on. And then the final piece is reimbursement for all the county agencies that have submitted expenditures directly related to the CARES Act that are eligible. Once that is met, so that would complete stage one. Stage two is now in the works. And stage two is the CARES Act in the state of Virginia have given us a second round of CARES Act money. So we are going to receive an additional $1.4 million. We've received 1.4 to begin with, and all the things I've just described to you are being spent out of that $1.4 million. We will be receiving 1.4 additional million dollars. We're waiting to get the rules about how that could be utilized. They may be slightly different, but they'll probably be mostly the same. The way our preliminary analysis indicates that we would, in the current expenditures that we have on the books, we would go over that 1.4 million and need to tap into the second 1.4 million. So rather than go forward with a major round two with the small business community, which I think we'll be able to do, I think it's important for us to make sure we complete this first round of work as quickly as we possibly can, and then take a look at what we have, what's still available to us. And I think we should definitely take another look at funding those applicants that have put in an application to get CARES Act money that we weren't able to fund that first time. We may want to look at, can we give some additional money to our small businesses? But we're not at that point right this moment, in my opinion. I think we need to make sure that we have completed this round one in 5 components before we make any commitment on what we're going to do with the second half of the money. But I think it looks very promising.
Ms. Shepley, I think where I'm going is, why not authorize, given the EDA's fund balance, why not authorize the EDA to transfer another $120K to the small business, regardless of whether or not the CARES Act money can come? You do the analysis. If we can get it reimbursed, great. If not, that's okay too. Given the EDA's fund balance, I can't think of a better use of it right now, given the other things that are on the plate for what the EDA is doing. That's my thought.
Sure. I think that's very doable. And the EDA is the place that we can pay the money out from. I just was thinking that it might be better to do it in one, like if we see that not only can we take care of the 120, but we can maybe add something to that and add something to the people that have already gotten the first round, and we did it all at one time. I think the thing we got to weigh against what I just said is the urgency of trying to get money to the first batch.
Well, what about this then? If we've got 25 applications sitting on the desk down at the small business folks, which is about, I think, $75K. Why don't we solve that stack of paperwork with the additional $75K from the EDA? And then as we get into this and, another month goes by, we can readdress next month based on the fact that you're going to be able to do further analysis, have a better sense of where things are. We might have a better sense of number of applications, that sort of thing. But if we've got a demonstrated need based on what Mr. Butler briefed us, that there's 25 applications that are sitting there waiting to be processed, but they don't have the funds, and we do have the funds in the EDA, why not just go ahead and appropriate those $75K or ask the EDA to appropriate the $75K?
We can certainly do that. I think that's a good idea, actually.
Do you need any motion from the board to do that, or since, you know, the EDA is a separate organization.
Yeah, that would be good. It would be good to have a motion from the board.
There's more applications coming in every day.
Yeah, and we've not discouraged anyone from applying because we were hoping we could get to a situation like this where we could take care of the rest. So,
well, if you do the number that he mentioned, which he thinks is going to top out at 40, that's his best estimate. So that's 15 higher than what is currently in the room down there, from my understanding. Then, you know, you're up to 120K. So maybe that's the number you play around with EDA. And then we can adjust based on, you know, how things progress in the next month.
yeah, and our best true ballpark estimate, so this is totally a ballpark estimate, but if you add the two 1.4s together and you get 2.8, the best we can figure right now is that the things that we know we're committed to, we'd have about 550,000 left. So we should be able to do that within the 120 within that 550, and that is a very we anticipate that we'll get close to that number, but we probably won't exceed that number. So we do have the money. We could safely afford the 120, and we can actually afford the 120 without even reimbursing it just by giving it from the EDA. We've got enough money to be able to do that through the EDA on its own.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm willing to make a motion, but I'd offer up to you or the other ones if there's any other thoughts on it. That's just a thought that I had to be able to keep that, what sounds like a pretty beneficial program moving.
Chris Butler has a question, but he was permanently muted and he couldn't mute himself. Carl, could you unmute him, please?
We thought you did that, Aaron.
It wasn't me. He was bad and didn't have himself muted, and so he got put in the corner.
I had to text Aaron and ask him to have you guys take me out of the penalty box. I apologize. I put my phone in the pocket and it unmuted. Mr. Fayette, my question is that and I do appreciate the fact that we're looking at that 40. What do you guys recommend we do going forward? Do we stop taking applications? Do we continue? But I mean, I just want to make sure that we have a direction, because if it's 25 or if it's 40, we want to know where we go and how we handle that.
Well, in my opinion, if 40 is what you think is your top end right now, that's a good number to play around with for the next month. And then we can readdress next month based on, you know, the fund balance. But between CARES Act money and EDA money, probably one of the most important things we're trying to do right now is make sure our small businesses survive this economic downturn. So if we're willing to do 40, let's plan for 40. That's 15 more than what you currently have in the inbox, if I understood it. And then we readdress next month. But at least that gives you a ballpark, and then you come back next month and say, well, we got another 4 more that we got to deal with, or we have another whatever. But you know, if we've got the ability and we've got the money, we've got initial 1.4 now, and we got another 1.4 coming, and we've got a good successful program that's helping out folks, it seems to me to just keep going with it if it makes sense. That's my input.
Anybody, any more discussion?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Fan, you wanted to make that as a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion. We authorize the EDA to fund the small business grant program another $120,000.
Here's a second.
Yeah. You got everybody.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, so move.
Thank you.
We'll work on that. Everything else?
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers, Mr. Smith.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I got one question for Ms. Shepley. Mr. Smith's getting the list, if that's okay.
All right, go ahead.
Do we have, Ms. Shipley, do we have a date yet for the quarterly budget meeting for maybe next month? Do we have a date that you're looking
Yeah,
at? You know?
Yeah, we talked about that, and we would have all the numbers and be able to come back to you for that presentation in the October board meeting.
We're going to do the quarterly budget meeting, work meeting in the board meeting?
I'm sorry, I meant to say in October.
Okay, so we're going to do the quarterly budget work session as part of the October formal board meeting.
Yeah, I think that's what our plan was, unless you all recognize something different.
I thought we were going to do a work session, a quarterly work session to review the budget and not necessarily make it part of the formal board meeting as a means of just, instead of doing the annual budget meetings, I thought we agreed to do work sessions, but however you want to proceed.
We can do it either way, whatever the board would like. But October, we'd have July, August, September is the first quarter, and the numbers would be available to us for October. So they wouldn't be available to us by the September board meeting, but, but we'd be ready to do it in October. We can do it with the board meeting, we can do it separate, whatever you all would like.
I like to
To the 7th?
do it.
Yeah, where's it?
Okay.
Guys, I'm good with that. We're good to
Could
do
you
it
repeat
separate.
that, Mr. Chairman?
Consensus is time to do it separate is what we settled with Mr. Hash, and maybe, I think maybe we need to do it separate. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Okay. We'll just work
I
on
think it's particularly important to do it separately right now, given that we have money that's in a contingency fund, and we need to discuss that. Its effect on, the coronavirus. It's not just your typical, budget update. It's a little more complex. So that'll be good.
Okay. All right. Is that good, everybody? Yeah. All right, we'll go to registered speakers. I'm reading this right. Is it Jamie? Tammy. All right, you're up. On.
Okay, hello, my name is Tammy Austin, and I want y'all to know that I am the director of the Ladies Safe House in Fruit. It's located at 320 Tabernacle Road, and this is a safe house for women only. We have established a board of directors, and we're working toward a business license. We have a bank account established. We currently have 3 ladies, but we now have 2. All ladies must submit to random drug screening and are required to attend church and recovery meetings weekly. In addition to community service such as Feeding America and other events. We have the same guidelines as Penny Harmon has at the Hope House in Daylight for men. The police department has been called and has permission to enter the property at any time. We're working towards improving our community and the safety. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. You can have my number or email. And we also, we're nonprofit. We just do this for the community. We're so grateful to live in Grayson County. And we also are part of a recovery program that we do every week. Due to the COVID, we've been sort of shut down. But we had a very good success rate. We were seeing a lot of success. But we really wanted something for women, and we got it started. It's been started now for about 3 months, and wanted to let you all know about it. The property originally belonged to Carl Waters. It's not been transferred yet into anybody's name, but we're working towards that. So I'm open to questions.
Any questions?
Is the Hope House, I know it's for men there, they don't operate a women's house now, do they, or do they?
They did, but, I spoke with Ms. Harmon, and she said it was really hard to deal with women, and, she got discouraged and, closed the one down in daylight. So we're hoping that we can be successful and free.
Hey, ma'am, John Fant, can you say the name of your organization again? I didn't hear it very well.
Right now, we're calling it the Women's Safe House in Greece.
Okay. And then what help do you need? It sounds like you've got a pretty interesting and challenging mission. What help do you need?
Right now, the lady that has donated 2 properties are older properties. They have roofing needs, they have wiring and electrical needs. Of course, the ladies that live there, they live there solely off of donations, what people bring in to them. Those ladies that are there now, we took in one lady that had been living under a bridge. She had ulcers on her feet, you could see the bones. It took me 2 days to get her medicine, but they have needs like that, like towels, paper towels, toilet paper. The roof is leaking on one side, but we're working towards fixing that. We've had some volunteers that it's hard to get good people to come all the time, and we're just newly getting established. A lot of people don't know about us yet. Sheriff Bond does know about us. I spoke to him. There was some concerns in the community, I will tell you that. There voiced to me about the place. They were worried that it was a place that people was going to gather for drugs. But we do random drug screens. We have a 10-panel drug screen that we can give at any time to the ladies in the house. And, of course, we do welcome officers and K-9 units at any time. And we are working towards the end of it.
Do you have nonprofit status now, or are working toward that?
We do not have that at this time. We do have a bank account. We do have people giving donations. Chrissy Hessner from Daylight, she's over our money and handling what we do there. So God bless us so far, and as long as He blesses us, we'll keep rolling our line.
Is this Grayson County ladies, or this, it could be?
It can be any lady. We'll take any lady. Some women are not drug addicts. Some women may need a safe place to go. They are running from their husband or their boyfriend who is harming them. They need to come there. Some women get out of jail and don't have a place to go. Unfortunately, that happens a lot. Some women are addicts, and they need to come off the drugs. They need a place to go. It's a place for them to have clean, sober living. So that's some of it.
Okay.
Ma'am, did you say that the sheriff is aware of your location and what you're doing there? That's what you said?
Yes, I talked to the church personally, yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And I have provided a pack for y'all, whoever, you can give it to whoever. It's, the intake form takes about 2 hours to intake one lady. So it ain't just come in here. It takes about 2 hours to go through all of this application process. Drug screening, college probation officers. It's a required process. Sometimes we might turn somebody away. We had one lady that we had to let leave because she failed to do a drug screen. But it's a lot of decision making, but it's a good program. I feel like it'd be a good program or place for women.
Okay. Anything else? Appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to live in Grayson.
Thank you.
Ms. Rita Gibson? She covered everything. Okay. All right, Mr. Greg Gibson.
Hope you can hear me fine. I had 2 pulls, so my voice is sort of ratchet right now. But my jaw's still up. But anyhow, my complaint is, well, not really a complaint, it's just of Tabernacle Road on the hill part. The road's not wide enough, and it's all pieces.
and you got washout ruts on the side, and, you know, I got a pretty nice car there in my garage. When I go down through there, if I need like a truck or a bus or whatever, comes through there a lot of times. My wheels will drop off there, maybe get a busted tire, miss the rim, or get my tires out of balance on my car. And that costs me. And, you know, being a taxpayer, I think we deserve a better road up there. I mean, just up the hill part. And the rest of it don't look too bad, but, you know, if they want to go proceed on through there with it, but it does need to be broader and, you know, fix them ruts and put us a road up through there. So, you know, that's on Tabernacle, that's 201 for East Virginia. And then you turn on the Prune Lane, and right at the end, where the school buses turn around down there, it sort of washes out a lot, and when the buses go down there, they rough the road out, you know. And I feel like, you know, they could widen that out a little bit more so the bus can turn around, because the road is falling apart right there at the dead end part. And I feel like, you know, they need to, you know, let the end of that right there. And that's where I was done. I've, you know, I lived there for 38 years. And they never have done anything to that Tabernacle Road. It's always been bad. I've asked them 2 or 3 times to come up there. When they come, they look at the road, they bring about 2 shovels full of asphalt, burn go in the hole, and they call that fixing the road. That's not fixing the road to me. I mean, Mike, you been up that road. You see how bad it is right there on that end going up. And I just very appreciate it, but you never know when a beer bottle or some kind of bottle washes out there. You maybe bust a tire or maybe a sharp block or something to wash it out. Bust a tire or something like that. That costs us, you know. You have, when you're on income like me, it costs us.
Yes, sir.
But
just try you.
Yeah, I'll be glad to check that. I'll talk with,
I really will appreciate it. 201 and 202 there on Blue Lane and Tabernacle on that 3. I greatly appreciate it. Good road.
Okay. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you. And good to live in Grayson County.
Yes, sir. Sherry Kilby. Kirby. I bet it did.
My family. My daughters and my wife.
Hello.
Hello.
I just have some concerns as far as, you know, living in the county of Grayson County, as far as, you know, like the road conditions, as my father had said earlier. I live at Pine Mountain, and there's a concerning curve there at my road that is kind of dangerous if you don't stay on your side of the road. I've had a lot of family members who've been run off, and I busted several tires, and, you know, had to do some work underneath the front end of my car where I had to hit the ditch where they hauled the road so much, because it's a very sharp curve there, and I'd like to see it, you know, something done, you know, to that. As far as that's the only concern I have, other than I did have a question about, you know, concerning the, you know, the community of our people as far as the taxes and stuff. I know that we had like a grace period for the taxes, you know, to sort of kind of get them paid in. And I just wanted to know maybe the reason for the increase that we did have on our taxes. And I'm appreciative, you know, for the grace period. You know, as a citizen, I don't think I ever found out the reason why there was an increase as far as, you know, like our trash fee and stuff when we had to pay. And I just wanted to kind of maybe a little bit more knowledgeable of the reason why.
Okay. First thing, find that logo is in your.
what part of it is Pine Mountain? Is it Pine Mountain Road? I mean,
Pine Mountain Road.
How far up?
You don't, I'd say probably maybe 2/10, if that, maybe not even that. It's real first.
It's kind of in between me and Brenda. We'll try to figure.
Yeah.
What's your address?
It's 826 Pine Mountain.
826. Okay.
Okay. Do you?
They had a guardrail there that's been swiped out before.
Is that coming? Oh, you're coming up from Riverside Drive.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the tax thing, you know, public comment is not really a question and answer time. If you would, if you call Mr. Shepley or Mr. Smith, we can discuss, they will discuss with you what everything went to. We didn't pick it just out of we had a reason for it, but this public comment's like a 3-minute session, and we could go on all night about what we played on. So, if you would call the office and Mr. Shepherd or Mr. Smith will help you with those answers, okay?
Well, that's all the questions.
So, thank you for coming out. That is the end of public comments. Board of Supervisors time I don't think it was none. I will look for a motion to go into closed session. We'll be discussing personnel matter 2.23711 of A1 and A5 of business industry, and A7 of probable litigation or legal matters. So a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Ms. Sullivan moved and Ms. Second. Favor aye.
Aye.
Closed session, survey the board that we didn't discuss anything other than A1, A5, and A7 of 2.2-3711. Ms. Sutherland.
I so certify.
Mr. Harris.
I so certify.
Mr. Evans.
I so certify.
Mr. Fant.
I so certify.
And I also so certify. So we're out of closed session and look for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank y'all. Be careful
Thank you.
out there.
Be
Stay
safe.
safe.
Good night.
Good night.